What is up, guys? Welcome back to 9.99. As you can see, I have all Spydercos on the table right now, and you can tell by the title what this is going to be about. Spyderco has been definitely my biggest influence and one of my favorite brands of all time. Starting off with, and I'll mention it, always mention it in almost every one of these videos, this Manix Lightweight 2 in the CTS BD1 steel. This was my first Spyderco, one of my first real knives, something that I still cherish to this day. It kind of really kickstarted that extreme kind of collector's mindset for me, where once I kind of felt this and got into this knife and really used this on an everyday basis. I mean, this knife was in my pocket for years. Summertime, wintertime, no matter what, this was in my pocket. When this knife was introduced to me, it just kind of opened up all of this. And you can see we've got some special Spydercos on the table here. We got the Spyderco Swayback, which is a recent pickup for me. This is also in CTS XHP, which I just recently heard is kind of like a D2 variant. You guys can kind of go in the comments and discuss that more. I'm not really a knife steel snob as much as everybody else is. I definitely like certain steels more. I can feel which ones kind of hold an edge a little bit longer. But yeah, definitely comment down below more about that. But you can see there's definitely some hits on the table. This is the GPK Knives Smock. This is in CPM Rex 45, smooth white G10, or smooth carbon fiber like G10 in this white. This Endura in CPM M4. All these knives, what is something they all have in common? Basically, obviously, the Spyder Hole, which for me is one of my favorite methods of deployment for almost any knife, even as weird as this one. The way that you can open these knives with gloves and without gloves, for me, is really important. This is something that, even with gloves, I'm able to open, which for me has been really useful in the wintertime. Something that I would consider kind of a #1 priority if you're really going to have an EDC knife on you. Can you open it with gloves? Can you open it if your hands are wet? Can you open it in the cold? All those factors, I feel like the Spyder Hole kind of covers. Something that traditional thumb studs sometimes do, depending on how the thumb stud is kind of put together. And I can't say that every Spyderco is kind of made equal to flip with the thumb stud. I mean, the Spyder Hole. This is one that I can still flick with the Spyder Hole, but also, obviously, it has a flipper. This is the Spyderco Southern, regular brown G10, deep carry pocket clip on there. Or something like this, the Spy Motto, which has a removable flipper tab. This is removed for me. I just like the blade itself. Round it over. Can really get a good purchase on this. Something that Spyderco does right, in my opinion, is just it collaborates with a lot of different creators, a lot of different knife designers, and kind of brings the best into a production line. For an example, which this is a hot topic, this knife, this is something that definitely gets a lot of looks. A lot of people don't like this or really do like it. Obviously, that price tag, which is I think $420-ish, is just not jiving with everybody. But this is something that kind of was brought to life through being made as a custom and then now a production knife. And I think Spyderco doing this, honestly, we're the best people to do it. Love this knife. This is the Spyderco Stovepipe. This is in CPM 20 CV. I picked this one up used. You can see there's a little bit of, actually these are probably for me, a little bit of scratches on the blade, but I can't, trust me, not every knife is a user, but knives like this, though they're super expensive and whatever, and this has a lot of hot spots and stuff, it's kind of been in my pocket a lot more for like a special knife, because I actually really enjoy the size of this, even though it's smaller. Cutting edge on this is actually very similar to a Delica, as you can see. So not a lot of cutting edge, but not really needed. But going back to that, Spyderco and their collaborations and their weird designs really drew me in. I feel like the Spidey Chef, the Myrtle, the Stovepipe, the Brad Southern, the Swayback, all very weird looking knives, very not traditional, very unique knives. And that all has to do with the designers for sure, because a lot of these knives were customs before they were ever Spyderco's or their in-house designs. But obviously Brad Southern, forgot the guy that made this one, but he both made the Chef, the Swayback, and the Schliess Bowie. So Schliess, I think that's his name. Here's another very unique knife. This is the O Jumbo, which is a big version of the O Jumbo. Self-defense knife. Many iterations of this. This is kind of its big brother to the original 2, Yojimbo 2. Compression lock. You know, when you watch the video of the designer discussing this knife and just kind of going into detail, I really feel like Spyderco was able to just get down to the nitty gritty and really bring his design to life. Super happy with this one. Besides just the designers and who they collaborate with, the price to performance ratio when it comes down to certain things. You know, when you go buy an exclusive, for an example, this CPM Crew Wear, the purple G10 DLC coated blade, I picked this up for the same price as just a regular Para 3 G10. You know, but it has this obviously unique blade, unique G10, and for it to be the same price as a regular one, maybe it's also me being a smart shopper and figuring out which website or when to buy it and buy it at the right time. But it goes to show that they're not really trying to hike up the prices to an extreme amount. That's to be said, though, because just recently, obviously, the Spyderco Bodacious came out, and I think they got that thing sitting at like $265, which is just extreme. It's an extreme price. I haven't had my hands on that blade at all. But no worries. 2025 has brought lowered MSRPs for the Bodacious, which I think brought it down to DLC coded one, don't quote me, is $235, and I think or $245, and then the non-DLC one, satin one, is $225. Way more reasonable. That price drop, and then when you consider certain websites having a sale price, now you're going to get down to like $180. Now, 180s, in my opinion, you know, now everyone's budget is different, but 180 is a pretty solid price. That's bringing it into what was the Manix 2 in G10's price. Now, this is also, I think, going down in price from 180 to 165. Don't quote me on these prices. I'm just kind of ballparking it. I do know that the Manix 2 in Magna Cut lightweight also went down in price from like, you know, 170 something or 180 something, whatever it was, to like the 140s, 151 or something like that. But anyways, that price drop is something that I haven't really seen from a lot of different manufacturers. For an example, and something that I haven't discussed because I don't like to throw a lot of hate towards other brands, and also because I haven't really owned many. But Benchmade's a good example of, I look at the prices of a Benchmade, and I've spent money on knives, but I look at the prices of Benchmades and I just can't pull the trigger on buying one. Maybe that's because I haven't handled one enough. I haven't, fallen in love with it the same way that other people have. I know people are really big on that USA made, that USA made title, and really, running with it. But I feel like sometimes manufacturers like that take the USA made to a next level and hike up their prices to a point where it's kind of unreasonable. When you're looking at what is it, a Benchmade bug out. I think a Benchmade bug out, we could actually search that up real quick, what that price is going for. Benchmade bug out, let's see. A regular standard, this is an S30V, this is lightweight, I think is going for $180. It's a love-hate relationship with that price, because it's like, don't get me wrong, CPM S30V is a super steel. Don't let anybody else tell you different. Just because it's not some of these exotic or different steels doesn't mean it's worth any less. It's just become more common within the knife world. Doesn't mean that it's worth less, but 180 at that price, and then some of their variants are up to like $250, $300. I've seen the Benchmade bug out go for, is weird to me, because go back to something like this that's with Magna Cut. It's also a lightweight blade. It also has in my opinion, a very similar, feel to it with its its locking system. This is something that's going for $50 less, $30 less than its regular competitor. That's something I feel like you really can't beat. This is something that's at $130. This is $130 at the BDN one. This used to be $95, $85. It's definitely went up in price over the years with inflation and stuff, but $180 for a bug out, when I feel this BDN one is just as good, for sure. It's just as good, and that completely biased here. This is very completely biased, as you can tell. I own a lot of Spydercos. I love Spyderco. It has been kind of just a culmination of years of just collecting these. And don't get me wrong, Spyderco has its faults. It definitely has its faults. It's not perfect. For an example, I just got this Spyderco Para 3 in the 15V. Picked this up for a great price. I think it was $138. But it has lock stick. Is that acceptable? You're paying all this money for a knife. Is that acceptable from a very big brand like Spyderco, when their quality control should be top notch? And then we get into warranty. I'm not somebody that's really too worried about warranty. I haven't snapped a lot of blades or anything like that. And honestly, if I did, I'd probably want to get it reground or resharpened or replaced in some type of way. I heard that Benchmade has a pretty great warranty, and so do a lot of other brands. Spyderco, won't replace a blade if it's snapped. I think for certain models, for sure. Like, it's not going to, obviously, if it's a discontinued model, it's not going to replace this. It's not going to have many parts for you. It's not going to have a clip for you. But I haven't had many interactions with their warranty service myself. That being said, Spyderco isn't just the only brand, obviously, that I've been collecting. I have been collecting other brands over the years. Without a doubt, something that I love a lot is the Kershaw bare knuckle, and Kershaw in general. Kershaw will make a $10 knife and make a $200 knife. And I'll tell you what, the design of that $10 knife, sometimes it's next level. They can make this same knife. They'll make this just crap aluminum. They'll make a shitty steel. It won't have that good of a heat treat, but they'll keep this beautiful design. Little weird, don't get me wrong. It's something that I had a big gripe with CRKT, where they kept coming out with these beautiful, beautiful designs, and the steels would be, just really low-end steels. 8CR type steels, if not even lower. Some of them were, same thing with Kershaw, they could create knives that are like 4CR, and they're like gift knives and, knives you throw in your bag or whatever. But then Kershaw comes out with bangers like this. You know, and then they come out with variants that are even more crazy. They come out with obviously the carbon fiber version in this M390 as an exclusive. This is lighter than a Manix 2 lightweight. You know, so a lot of these brands come out with some big bangers, some hits. Another knife brand that, you know, personally I don't really like as much either is Gerber. Gerber's knives have always been also hit or miss. You know, I've had really bad experiences with Gerber knives. Not as much as I've had with others, but to really bring it all back to where Spyderco sits for me, I really feel as a top brand. If somebody's gonna ask me what your first knife is gonna be, and you're willing to spend a little bit of money, you're really into that, I would tell you, you know, invest obviously in a Manix, a Spyderco Manix. Even then, invest in a Spyderco Delica. This is a lockback. This will teach you to be, you know, very cautious when closing. It's a great size, great ergos, strong blade, comes in many different colors, many different steels, has many different mods in the community where you can get like Emerson Wave features, you can deep carry pocket clip, different screws, all of that. You know, customization is a big thing with Spyderco. There's a lot of different custom ways to customize all these Spydercos, especially the titanium ones. And I'm definitely a Spyderco fanboy, obviously. You know, I'm making a whole video about them. Big Spyderco fanboy, but it's for good reasons. And I'm just kind of wanting to explain, if, you know, going in the future, if you see me reference Spyderco a lot and being biased towards them, it comes with a lot of comes with a lot of reason, basically. So I appreciate you guys watching, and I appreciate you guys kind of viewing my little collection here and taking your time to view all these videos. Again, if you guys have any questions or any suggestions in the comments, or even wanted to have a discussion or debate about this stuff, let me know. We can definitely talk about it in the comments. Again, thanks for watching, guys. This has been Knife.99. Peace out.